Very good morning and welcome to this Tuesday session of Yoga Online. Sit comfortably, roll your shoulders back, lift the sides of the trunk. Take the arms out to the side, lengthen the wrists away from each other. Turn the palms to face up. Breathe in and raise up the arms. Upper arms in line with the ear. Keep the abdomen soft and lengthen the trunk away from the hips. Press the thighs down, engage the thighs. Join your palms together, release the thumb to the sternum and the other four fingers away. Focus on the breath. Maintain the height of the armpits away from the hips. Begin by chanting Om 3 times. Take a slow, deep breath in. Slowly release your hands. Open your eyes. Place your fingertips on the floor. Extend the leg and change the crossing of the legs. Lock your fingers, rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Breathing in, raise up the arms. A full stretch of the side of the trunk. Stretch the armpit. Lift the elbow. Lift the wrist. Keep the abdomen soft. Feel the extension of the spine. And lift your ears away from the shoulders. Maintain this posture for a few moments. And breathe in from the hip to the armpit. Breathe out, soften the abdomen. Your next exhalation, release your hands. And change the bind of your interlock. Rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Breathing in, raise up the arms. A full extension of the side of the tongue. Lift the armpits, lift the wrist, stretch the palms and stretch the fingers. Palm side more, lower the small finger side. And focus on your breath. A full inhalation from the hip to the armpit. As you breathe out, soften the abdomen. Slowly release your hands to the front of the chest. Place your fingertips behind you. Roll the shoulders back. Breathing in, lift the sternum, lift the crown of the head and look up. As you breathe out, lift your ears to take the chin to the chest. Cervical spine. Hold the chin down for a few breaths and feel the length of the cervical spine. Away from the shoulders and feel that distance between the ear and the shoulder and lift the crown of the head. Feel a full length of the spine from the sacral area all the way to the crown of the head. Keep the abdomen soft. Raise up the left arm. Stretch on the right side. Keep the crown of the head lifted. A full stretch on the left side. Walk your right hand across. Rest your palm on the floor and lengthen the left side. Lengthen the armpit away from the hip. Lengthen the wrist away from the armpit. At the same time, can you feel the spine becoming longer and the crown of the head lengthening away from the base of the spine? Sides, full extension on both the right and the left side. Turn your palm to face inside. Now lift the armpit away from the hip. Lift the wrists away from the armpit. Walk your left hand across, rest on the palm. The work now is to lift the armpit away from the hip. Breathe into that area and feel that the spine is extended from the base of the spine, the crown of the head, feel the extension. Don't hold the breath. Each time you breathe in, lift the armpit away. Turn the navel and sternum to face forward. Breathe in to come up. Back. Lift the armpits away from the hips. Lift the crown of the head and feel the length of the spine. Feel the length of the spine without exertion. Let the armpits moving away from the hips and the rib cage lifting away from the hips. Allow for the spine to lengthen. So we don't actually lengthen the spine itself, we lengthen the areas around the spine to lift the chest and the spine extends. Take your right hand behind you. Take your left hand over the right knee. Now focus on the length of the spine without deliberately lengthening the spine. Lift the armpits, lift your ears. And as you breathe out, move the navel, move the shoulder blades, and look over your right shoulder. Now stay in this posture. Focus on the softness of the abdomen. Move the shoulder blades and move the chin. Once in the twist, gently lift the shoulder blades, lift the rib cage, and lift the crown of the head. And feel that extension of the spine. And change sides. Take your left hand behind you, take your right hand over the left. Now lift the rib cage slightly. And as you breathe out, move the navel, move the shoulder blades, and move the chin. Once in the twist, soften the abdomen. Feel the twist, move the shoulder blades, and lift the rib cage away from the floor. Lift your ears away from the shoulder and feel the length of the spine and the softness of the spine at the same time, allowing you to twist. Slowly back to center. Place your fingertips, your fingers and palms on the knees. Roll the shoulders back. Draw the elbows towards the sides of the trunk and lift the chest. Lift the entire shoulder girdle and rib cage away from the hips. Soften the abdomen. Move the navel back. Move the abdominal organs back. And feel the extension, especially of the cervical spine and the thoracic spine, lifting away from the floor. Lock your fingers once more, rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Stretch the arms, lengthen from the shoulder to the wrist, and now breathe in and lift the armpits, lift the elbows, and lift the wrist. To maintain the extension of the trunk, and now straighten both your legs. Lengthen your heels away from the hips. Extend both heels away from the hips. And extend the armpits away from the hips. Extend the wrists away from the armpits and feel the length. Fold your left leg in. And extend from the inner groin to the inner knee and feel the extension of the thigh of the left leg. Feel the extension of the thigh of the right leg. Press them down to lift a little more. Roll the shoulders back. Lift the rib cage away from the hips. Anchor down your thighs and focus on the length from the inner groin to the inner knee, opening up and lengthening the thigh. At the same time, there's a softness in the abdomen and a softness in the groin area. Change the bind of your interlock, rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Breathe in and raise up the arms. Lift the armpit, lift the wrist, lift the rib cage, and now fold in the right knee and lengthen from the inner groin to the inner knee on the right thigh. Press the thigh down and feel the knee moving away from the hip. Navel and sternum face forward and lift the armpit, lift the elbows and lift the wrist. And the knee moves away from the center line. Slowly release your hands, roll the shoulders back, straighten your legs. Thighs bend, extend the leg out for Upavista Konasana. Press your thighs down, lift the rib cage. Fold your legs in for Baddha Konasana. Hold onto your ankles. Now lift the rib cage, lift the armpits, lift the crown of the head, and lengthen from the inner groin to the inner knee. Feel this extension of the knee moving away from the hips. The hips are settled, both knees moving away from the hips, and lengthening especially the inner thigh. From the inner knee to the inner groin, feel that extension. Activating the thigh muscles protects the knee as well. And now lift the rib cage, lift your ears. And the lengthening from the inner groin to the inner knee. Feel that extension. Feel the knee moving away from the center line. Slowly release. Straighten out your legs. Change the crossing of your legs. Roll the shoulders back. Soften the abdomen. And come onto your knees. Come onto your knees, join your toes, take your knees wide, and focus on the lengthening of the inner thigh from the inner groin to the inner knee. Press it down and lift the navel away from the floor. And you'll feel the release in the abdominal area and the area of the glutes. Keep lifting the rib cage and focus on the inner thigh stretching from the inner groin to the inner knee. Come to stand. Roll the shoulders back. Place your hands on your hips. Now lift the hips away from the knees. Lift the armpits away from the hips. Feel the length of the side of the trunk and feel the length of the crown of the head. Stand tall. Interlock your fingers once again. Rotate at the wrist. Turn the palms away from you. Breathe in and raise up the arms. Upper arms in line with the ear. Press your feet down. Lengthen all 10 toes away from the heels. Push your thighs back to lock the legs. Lift the hips. Lift the armpit. Lift the elbows and lift the wrist. Feel the full extension from your feet to your palms. Extend the palms away from the feet. Press the feet down. Push your thighs back and soften the abdomen. Slowly release your hands onto your hips. And take your right leg out to 90 degrees. Rest your heel on the ankle of the left leg. Now turn the navel and sternum to face forward. And can you lengthen now from the inner groin to the inner knee? Feel the length of the thigh. Now rest the right leg. Turn the trunk to face forward. Interlock your fingers, rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Breathing in, raise up the arms. We're going to extend the trunk and extend the legs in Vrksasana. Press your feet down, push your thighs back, lift the hips, lift the armpits, lift the elbows, and lift the wrist. Press your left foot down, push your left thigh back to stabilize the hip, and lift the armpits away from the hips. Lift the hips away from the knees and feel the extension, especially of the left foot. Slowly your hands, roll the shoulders back. If balance is a problem, take something to hold onto a wall or a chair. Now take your left leg out. Focus on the length from the inner groin to the inner knee. Roll the shoulders back. Change the interlock of your fingers, rotate at the wrist, turn the palms away from you. Breathing in, raise up the arms. Now lift the hips away from the floor. Lift the armpits away from the hips. Lift the wrists away. You're lifting off the right foot. Press the right foot down, engage the right thigh as you lift the hips, lift the navel, lift the armpits, lift the wrists, and stretch them. Breathe out and release. Roll your shoulders back and release the legs. Keep your hands on your hips. Take your right leg out once again. This time you're going to choose your foot position. You can keep it on the floor or place your foot on the shin. Focus on the length from the inner groin to the inner knee. Extend the knee away from the hips and turn the trunk to face forward. Now focus on the left foot pressing down. Move your left thigh back. Lift the hips away from the knees. Lift the armpits away. Take your arms out to the side. Find your balance first. Turn the palms to face up. Breathe in and raise up the arms. A full extension from the left leg. Lift the hips. Lift the armpits. Lift the wrist. Focus on just the standing leg, and the bent leg moves away from you. Opening the hips, navel faces forward and extend. Breathe out and release. Change legs. Roll the shoulders back. Take your left leg out to the side first. Turn the hip and trunk to face forward. Shift the weight of the body onto your left foot and place your onto the shin. Find your balance. Turn the navel to face forward. Take the arms out to the side. Turn the palms to face up. Look at a spot in front of you if balance is a problem. Breathing in, raise up the arms. A full extension of the sides of the trunk. Focus on the standing leg. Lift the hips. Lift the armpits. Lift the wrist. The bent leg moves away from you. In line, keep lifting the armpits. Breathe out. Roll the shoulders back and come to stand. Stand with the feet together. Lift the hips. Push the thighs back, lock the legs. Lift the armpits. Take the arms out to the side. Turn the palms to face up. Lengthen the wrists away from each other. Feel the extension of the wrists away from each other. Breathe in and raise up the arms. Now imagine that both your feet are one. Join the soles of the feet. Join the balls of the feet. Join your heels. And join your ankle bones. Imagine that you have one leg. Press both feet down together. Lift the hips. Lift the armpits and join your palms together. And stretch the middle finger up towards the ceiling. Lift the hips. Lift the armpits. Lift the rib cage. Push your thighs back to lock the legs. Feel the full extension of the body in Urdhva Namaskarasana. Feel the middle finger lifting. Feel the armpits lifting. Feel the rib cage lifting. And at the same time, lift the crown of the head. Lift your ears away from the shoulders. Maintain this posture. Focus on the breath. Soften the abdomen. Keep the thighs engaged. Slowly release your hands. Roll the shoulders. Take the arms out to the side. Turn the palms to face up. Using the breath, breathe in and raise up the arms. Up arms in line with the ear. Now, lift the armpits. Lift the wrist. Lift your ears away from the shoulders. Feel the extension. Lift your palms and fingers towards the ceiling. Press your feet down. Push your thighs back. Bend at the elbows. And stretch. Lift the armpits. Lift the elbows. Lift the rib cage. Keep the abdomen soft. From here, hinge at the hips. Fold forward and lengthen the crown of the head towards the floor. You can slightly bend the knee. It'll give you more of an extension. Keep both your feet together and stretch down. Soften the abdomen. Lengthen the crown of the head. Hands on your hips. Breathe in to come up. And step your feet out. Step your feet out as wide as possible. Press your feet down. Push your thighs back. Lift the armpits away from the hips. Feel the extension of the side of the trunk. Now it's important that we get this extension of the hips and the legs by pressing the feet down. You have to have a point to extend from. The point that you are extending from is placing the foot on the mat. Extend away from the feet. Extend the hip away from the floor. Push your thighs back, lock the legs. Lift the armpits, take your arms out to the side. From your center line, push your knees and thighs away from each other. Push them back. Feel the openness of the hips. Lift the armpits, lift the shoulder girdle. Lengthen the wrists away from you. There's a vertical extension, lift the crown of the head. There's a horizontal extension, lengthen the wrists away. Lengthen the rib cage away. The shoulder blades away. And knock your thighs away from each other. Press your feet down. All 10 toes pressing towards the floor and extending away from you. Turn the palms to face up. Breathe in and raise up the arms. Push your thighs back. Lift the hips. Lift the armpits. Lift the wrist. Spread the fingers. Now connect the middle finger of the right hand to the right foot. Connect the middle finger of the left hand to the left foot. Press your feet down, lift the hips, and feel those straight lines running up the legs, up the trunk, up the arms, and connecting your feet to the middle finger. Can you breathe into the full length of the legs, the trunk, and the arms? And as you breathe out, soften the abdomen. Roll the shoulders back. Place your hands on your hips. Breathe in. Lift the navel. Lift the sternum and lift the crown of the head. As you breathe out, hinge at the hips. Fold forward. Release your fingers. Release the crown of the head. Soften the abdomen. Breathe in to come up. Toe heel your feet together. And come onto your knees. Take your knees as wide as the mat. Sit back on your heels. Stretch forward for child's pose. Lengthen the armpits. Away from the hips. Move the groins back. Release your elbows and release your forehead. Settle the abdomen. The toes under. With a gentle stretch, press the weight of the body onto your palms. Lift the hips. Stretch the hips away from the armpits. Push your thighs back. Keep your heels off the floor. And lift your hips. Feel the extension of the legs and the trunk as you lift the hips. Keep your heels off the floor. Slowly release. And come to lie back. Lie flat on your back. Keep your knees up and your feet flat on the floor. Extend your arms overhead and lengthen the wrists away from the armpits. Lengthen the armpits away from the hips. Arms out to the side. Turn the palms to face up. Roll the upper arm away from you. Soften the abdomen. Join the soles of the feet together. And lengthen the inner knee away from the groin. Feel the thighs lengthen as you release into Supta Baddha Konasana. Feel the softness of the abdomen, the length of the spine, the openness of the chest, and release completely to the floor. Focus on just the exhalation. Slowly raise up your knees with both hands. Draw both knees in towards the chest. Keep the abdomen soft. Keep the feet soft. Allow for the lumbar to settle. Settle the abdomen. Release the navel to the floor. And lengthen the crown of the head away from the hips. Feel the length of the cervical spine. Release your shoulder blades to the floor. Adjust your arms and palms on the shin and feel where it's comfortable for your back. Release both feet onto the mat. Straighten your right leg. Straighten your left leg. Roll the thighs away from each other. Keep the abdomen soft. Hands on the abdomen. Straighten up your knees one by one, keeping your feet flat on the floor. Raise up your right arm all the way past the right arm. And roll over onto your right side. Come to foot. The inner groin to the inner knee. Feel the length of the thigh settling you down. Lift the armpits away from the hips. Roll the shoulders back. Lift your ears away from the shoulders. Lift the crown of the head. See that both sitting bones are evenly on the support. Feel the length of the spine as you lift the rib cage, lift the armpits, and lift the crown of the head. Soften the abdomen and become settled. Join your palms together, eyes closed. Bring your attention to the breath once again. And at the same time, feel the length of the trunk. Feel the length of the spine. And as you breathe out, lift your ears to take the chin to the chest. And as you breathe in, slowly raise up your head, release your hands, and open your eyes. Have a wonderful day, and we will meet tomorrow. Thank you.